Name is Lana Zeitler, and I am female. I identify with pronouns of she, her. Well, it goes back to when the fetus is gestating. The hormonal waves aren't correct. They don't match. And in fourth grade, I kind of figured that out. In the rough sense, I didn't understand what was going on. This was the 70s, so it wasn't like I could talk to anybody or look it up on the internet. And when I got into college, I started realizing what was going on. And fast forward till I was 42, and had learned a lot about people being trans, and finally made the decision to transition instead of stepping off a bridge because my wife was very persuasive. It just means I married the right person. I was explaining that to somebody who was asking, and they're like, well, when did you get married? And I said, 99. And they're like, well, how did you do that? Where'd you get married? I said, here in Portland. I was still a boy then, legally. So yeah, it's been kind of fun, but it does get awkward in conversations because so many of us lose everything. I was on a road trip, so we're driving our little truck, and I've been doing a lot of thinking, and she had already known that I was cross-dressing at home, and she had been supportive, and I'm like, I think I know how to order some breast forms. She's like, okay, and that was it. So I waited another year for her to bring it up because I was just so afraid I'd lose her, and she didn't, so I brought it up again in the kitchen because that's where else you have, detailed conversations. And she's like, oh dear, I thought you were going to say it was football. Thank God it's not football. And I'm like, well, I want to order some breast forms and, try this and see what we think. But I don't know what size to order. And she's like, well, order my size so you can wear my bras. So totally supportive right there. And I still wouldn't believe her. And she's like, look, if you're in an accident and you lost your arm, I would still love you. You grow 2 boobs, I'd still love you. She still loves me. It's great. I have a friend now who's starting her transition, and her daughter, who's known this most of her life, but it had always been kept on the side, is really struggling with it. I mean, they haven't lost contact, they're still talking, but it's really hard to see that. And it's strange how difficult gender is for people. People come out as being, gay or lesbian, and they don't really lose friends over that, but you come out as changing your gender or correcting your gender or whatever you want to say, and people walk away from you. And it's weird. People don't understand it, first of all. So, we all fear what we don't know, right? And being gay or lesbian has been in the media enough, and everybody knows somebody, so it's a little easier, I think, for people to identify. But trans has always been hidden. The object of transitioning for most people has been being able to pass. And most of that's been out of safety. So by that nature, successful transition has always been falling into the background. So people don't get to know a trans person. It's not until, a few years ago that things really started to get where it was, at least in certain areas, safe to be openly trans and to talk to people about it. And now the public's learning. And I think that's great. The more exposure we get, the safer we'll be, the more comfortable everybody else will be when they figure out just a person like anybody else. The trans community is made up of a lot of different people. I have gals that come in my shop and I'm like, oh my God, so you're telling me you're trans? First of all, I hate you. Second of all, congratulations. So yeah, there's a lot of faces in our community, and I guess stand up and be counted. So I know a lot of trans gals are like, I need this done and that done and that. And I'm like, I just need a lot done. I don't know what. I don't have that image, which is really strange because I'm a visual person. But I just know what I don't like. When I look in the mirror, I'm like, God, my nose, my jawline, it's set of my eyes. But I can't put my finger on one thing that I'd be like, that has to change. Um, it's it's more of just the overall summation of the details. I mean, people talk about micro gestures in your face, and mine are very male, even to this day. But I think that some of that is also the micro details in your face, where you're like, it just reads as male. The lips aren't right, the jawline's not right, the nose isn't right, the set of my eyes, the shape of my eyes. It's all these little things that come together. So when I look in the mirror, I don't really see a difference. And friends say there's a difference, right? Friends say, but it's hard to separate what feels as a genuine compliment, but you're like, no, here's something in the back of your voice going, no, they're just being nice. But, wanting to pass for safety is one thing, and I think we're already seeing a decline of that. I think people are feeling safer to stand up and go, this is who I am. And that's great. And for them, that clearly has fallen away. For me, I don't know if it will, because I wish I had that female body. I want curves. Hips would be great. As society changes its opinion, yes, it will be safer, it'll be easier to be less passable. Part of it is also just getting more comfortable in your own skin, so that social feedback will be more useful. But I just, personally, I want what I should have had. I'm an electrologist, so I do permanent hair removal. And for anybody going from M to F, obviously that parts are going internal, and you can't have any hair on there because it's an infection risk. So all of it has to be removed on anything going inside, which is pretty much everything down there. So it hurts. It's some real dedication to the cause to withstand that. And I've got a client I work 76 hours on, or sessions, and they're hour-and-a-half sessions. So it's a lot of pain to go through for something. So, when a politician says, this is a choice they're making, it's like, no, this is something that has to happen. I had a client come in, actually her parents set up the schedule. She's 16, and they're trying to get her through bottom surgery already, so that's why she was coming to see me. Unfortunately, her schedules didn't work out right, but the support from her parents was just amazing. And she walked in with her dad, and I'm like, wow, okay. You couldn't tell. And I worked on her a bit, and it was just like, this is so disconnected, because I've got this gorgeous gal on my table, and I'm starting to prep her for surgery, and I'm like, the disconnect of what's here and the rest of the person is amazing. And that's because she started so young. Her parents, I was constantly texting with her mom to set up the appointments, and then her dad would bring her, and it was pretty amazing. I've never worked on anybody that young before. So the early support is happening, and it's happening with multiple people, and I think that's great. So realizing I was different going back to 4th grade, it's like I just put it aside, because, as a guy, you're taught just push it down, push whatever is a problem down, the pain, anything. And it just keeps coming back. And I always, it would be a new school year, and it was a Catholic school, and I would migrate over to the girls' uniforms, and Mom's like, no, boys are over here. It's like, right. But it doesn't subside. There's always that desire to migrate toward, fun clothes, clothes with colors, clothes that were entertaining to wear or see on someone. And it was kind of a weird thing growing up because I'd see this gorgeous gal and I'm like, well, my preference is for women, so, as partners, and I'd be like, do I like her or do I like her clothes? After coming out from breast augmentation, I was like, yay, finally! Because for years I'd send in my tax returns, or taxes, and I'm like, well, there goes another set. There goes another set. And eventually got enough money together to get augmented, and hormones had given me a B at that point, and I was just like, but I'm always cold, so I'm wearing sweaters, and they're gone. So that was a moment where it's like, yay, this is finally coming together and finally happening. But you need to keep in mind at that point, I'm laying on the gurney and I've got this, basically, the way my doctor did it was there's this hard carapace on you. It's not really a cast, but kind of. And even then, it just felt better. And so, yeah. When you slip up the pronouns, if you think we didn't notice, we will. And we could also tell when you're doing it vindictively or not. That's something you learn early on. So just own it. Just respect a person. Be nice to everybody. Doesn't matter who. And a lot of people, trans people, don't want to school everybody. I want that knowledge out there, so I'm okay doing it. But don't walk up to a trans person and go, wow, do you have any pictures of your old self? What's your real name? No, don't do that. Don't do that. People, I think, just really just interact with a trans person like you would anybody else. There's no reason to not. And if you do slip with a pronoun or something, say sorry and just correct yourself. Move on. It hurts a lot, and sometimes it's hard to do that sort of thing. But really, that's the level it should have. To harp on it just makes it worse, I think. You need to get to have them over-apologize. And you just draw more attention to a blunder. I was talking to my landlord at work, who is wonderful. He tries very hard, but he's not around a lot of trans people. And then, in I walk with all my clients. But he was talking to somebody else there with me, and he kept referring to me as he. And finally, just looked down and went, John? And, yeah, it was just like at some point, because the other person's standing there like, what, how do I react? So it made it awkward for this other cis person. And it was just like, come on. When our brains are focused, then, yeah, we get it right. But when we're thinking about something else and just kind of talking, it happens. And I've done it to clients once in a while, and I feel terrible about it. It's like a neighbor changed his name. And I was terrible about getting it right. And like, of all people, I should really be able to do this. But no, I mean, our brains are still our brains, and they don't work any different than anybody else's, except for maybe the trans thing. And so, yeah, everybody gets the more casual stuff wrong at times. Being trans is beautiful because you finally get to be who you are and feel more comfortable. It's so much easier to just go out and, in a pair of tights and a skirt than it was just hating to put on the pants and the baggy t-shirt. So the fact that there's going to be an opera of a trans person's experience is going to be hugely helpful. I mean, we're seeing movies now, and to see an opera, which is, opera's got the vibe of, oh, it's so serious. And to have this brought into that realm is fantastic, because now it's, in a way, it's validating the authenticity of being trans. It's a real thing. Look, it's even in the opera now. I think that's fantastic. It's going to be so powerful to have people of influence seeing and hearing this, and it's going to be great.